You good?
Okay, this is the February 13th meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners. Call the meeting to order. Roll call,
Bob Scanlon?
Gary Pastor.
Scott Selby.
Jim Gibberti. We have up to four. We have minutes from the January 9th meeting. And Will Sandy has reviewed them because she sent them in for changes to Kelly. And this is the result that we have.
Mr. Chair, I have just one teeny tiny correction on page 5.
Okay,
About the fifth line down, it's just a misspelling of edifice. So Wareham Water District uses edifice software, it's EDIFICE. I'm sorry I didn't notice that
all
before.
right. Can I have a motion to accept with the correction?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Kelly, we need that correction on that spelling, please. And we have contracts here. The first one is for Xylem Water Solutions. It's for 2 pumps in the amount of $27,374.48. That's a not to exceed number. That includes shipping. Yes.
What is this for, the newbie on block?
Scott, what is this?
Xylem is they are the provider of flight pumps, so we need to move forward with getting, those 2 pumps. We need the pumps.
Are they sole suppliers?
They are the only distributor in the area, so if you call anyone else that will sell pumps, they are going to get them from Xylem.
Okay.
So it becomes a futile act to go get quotes,
Okay.
specifically for flight pumps.
Flight pumps?
L-Y, yeah,
For the pump station?
yes.
This is for the salt works.
Is this more of what I call like procurement of goods versus services, right? You buy a product?
Yeah, we're buying the pumps,
Okay.
this is a product.
So the contract.
Who installs them?
We will install it.
You install it here, okay. And I just have a question, may relate to some discussion during the workshop, but these pumps are replacing 2 that are worn out, is that correct?
Yes, existing same type. So the issue is, as much as maybe you think we can get a different product, a different type of pump, but there's a rail package that allows us to move the pump up and down without getting into the tank to bolt it to the piping.
Mm-hmm.
So the weight of the pump sits on the rails, and then that's what keeps the connection going. And only that type of pump goes with that rail system. So we could get new pumps, or we could buy new rails, so it becomes more
Kind of
expensive.
locked into it.
And they're good pumps.
Yeah, my question is, are there other pumps in the system that are the same age as the ones that need replacing?
Likely, yes.
So this is likely to be a recurring proposition, is that right?
Yes, we are, for years, there have been lift stations that have been operating on one pump for one reason or another. Maybe it's control issues, maybe if the pump's been dead and they didn't want to replace it. And it's just not a sustainable practice. So we are going through and making sure that lift stations are operating on 2 pumps, one in a backup, or if there's a high flow situation, both pumps may need to come on and pump at the same time to keep up with the flow. So again, this lift station has 1 pump, and we need to have 2, and then we want to have a spare 4. because the other pump is as old as the one that died.
So let me ask this question then. How many pumps are we looking at, let's say, over the next year or 2 years?
Yes, I'll be going to, I'll be actually going to Finance Committee to request to put on the spring meeting for $250,000 to come out of next year's budget to capital to buy more pumps, because that's how many pumps we need.
So that's 10 pumps?
Not necessarily. So there's all different size pumps. For whatever reason, every lift station,
Okay.
there are 2 stations that have the same pumps, and there's 3 stations that have the same pumps. There are so many different size pumps throughout the system. I'd love to amateurize them all and get them all the same, but we haven't got there yet. We need things to work,
Yeah.
and then we'll go back.
Just as a side thing, and we've been talking about this a long time, is trying to get the internal workings of the system, pumps being one of the internal workings, if you would, is to get everything brought up to a manageable level that we haven't had, with the things being out. You got 2 pumps, as you said, one is in there, it's dead, it's not working, it just hasn't been handled.
Or it might be the control system for the pumps.
Yeah, a lot of it is just, is the maintenance and replacement that hasn't been done, that should have been done for a long time. We're trying to play catch up with it all now.
Yeah, I'm not
So-
questioning the need to replace the pumps. I'm asking, what are we looking at over the next year or 2? So,
I'm estimating $250,000
okay.
with the pumps. I can't tell you how many pumps that is though.
So if it was the same as this, it would be
10 pumps.
10 pumps,
Yeah.
or 20.
270,000.
Yeah,
270.
270, yeah, so 10 pumps.
The question, this to me appears to be more of a purchase order type issue.
Yes.
And I saw the word contract when I first got the notes on it.
So we have to do a contract for anything over $10,000, from 10 to
Even
50.
for purchasing?
Yeah.
So we could not approve a capital expenditure for you to have authorization to buy anything you need up to
Anything over
25, 30?
Anything over $50,000, we can do a
How much?
contract. Anything up to $50,000, we can do a contract. Anything over that, we need to go to town meeting and ask to use our capital to do it. So, that's just the general government rules.
Right.
In Massachusetts, but this is the same holdup that caused us to rent 2 blowers at $20,000 a month for over a year, costing us 100% more than it took to buy 2 more pumps and install them.
So is there any way we can set a process up, an SOP, to, you have the authority to buy what you need in order to maintain this so that we don't have to issue it?
What I'm trying to do is go to town meeting with a couple items, so I wanna get that money set aside for pumps, so have it, I can just go get it when I need it, rather than go back to town meeting
Up
6
to-
months later.
Does it go up to a certain amount, Scott, like you put in for 200,000, you may only request 3 pumps, that's
Yeah.
70,000
There
for
might
the
be
year?
some left over from that line item for the next year, which is what happens. And then I need to, so I'm trying to be predictive, and I'm gonna go to town meeting and ask for things I might not actually need that year, but if I don't, or in that 6-month span, but if I don't ask for it, I have to wait 6 months.
I'm trying to look at the projection, the pro forma side of having it expensed out, and for you to be able to get at the funds in order to do what you need to do to do the job.
Yeah, that's the method I have to go through. I have to ask for it from the finance committee, and then go to town meeting and ask for it. And we're not asking for more money from the town, we're asking to use money from the budget. And that's kind of the kicker, it's like, oh, that's why we put that line item in there, but if I don't ask for it at the public hearings, we can't actually use it, so it's just a process.
It's not in the budget,
Well,
as a line item.
So if
Yeah,
it is scheduled
access.
in the budget and then he gets allocated 200,000, does we have to go through the same process every time? Even though you've already had approved up to spend $200,000 on pumps?
Yeah, we still have to approve my purchase. Even though we've already got it approved through town meeting, each contract, you're gonna have to get them to approve it.
It's public oversight, it's okay.
It's just the way, yeah, it's just the process.
But
I
the contract,
think I'm finally getting my hands on it.
if it's under $50,000, then it's something we can handle right here. It's not something that has to go anywhere else,
Right.
as long as you get the approval for it to begin, which is in the budget.
So move to approve the contract.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
The next little critter that we have here is for Knowles Enterprises for emergency repair service. This is, we've got rates in there of $130 per hour during normal hours and $160 per hour outside normal hours. This contract's for 1 year. Which allows Scott the option to call these guys if he needs them. Pay 'em.
As opposed to calling us, you mean?
Yes, okay, I'm not that good, got a torque wrench, I'll blow the nuts off of it.
And then, I'm still catching up, and I'm sure Carrie is too, and have we used Knowles before?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, so this isn't an extension, this is
It's
a
a
new
new
contract,
contract, kind of,
doing the same thing.
yeah, they've already been doing it here. And, just to, not to skip ahead, Weston also has been doing the same thing for us.
Mhm.
So we want to, you know, in this time of people with limited labor, sometimes you call people, they just can't help it. So having the options is something I'm trying to work with as well.
I wish my plumber would work for $130 an hour. It'd be nice.
He works on a different time scale.
So move to approve.
Is that one question before that?
Well, if there's discussion after the motion, yeah.
Yeah, you can ask, yeah.
That's question.
The thing I saw in the other contract, I just noticed on this, on the liability insurance, these people are dealing with, I look at it and I see that the coverage is, in my past life, my experience, the coverages are very, very low.
Okay.
In most public contract today, you see a minimum of $3 million, $5 million, $10 million in liability coverage. I don't know if it makes any difference in this type of a contract, but that goes back 20 years ago. $1 million doesn't cover.
It's probably stipulated by the town.
Yeah, I think the town
No,
says,
the director of purchasing or
oh,
yeah, they start, when you put out something submitted to bid, you request the type of insurance, the amount of insurance that you want. I just bring that up as a point of reference. I've never seen anything so low in 20 years in any public contract I've dealt with.
well, I think
Yeah.
the value of the contract may drive some of that, $50,000 versus.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're doing road work, 100%,
Yeah.
the bonds are typically between 5 million and 10 million
Yeah.
that you gotta pull.
I thought maybe the town would have a standard.
I think that is for the standard contract of 50,000 and less. So once you go to RFP and the contracts get bigger, it probably drives the bus a little bit differently.
Okay, thank you.
Can I second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next one we have is again Knowles Enterprises again, and this is for an operator if necessary, with a grade of 5C or 6C. Interestingly, their price range on them is the same, $130 per hour or $160 per hour overtime.
So this is, if Scott gets the flu or something, they need to have an operator come in, is that the story?
Yeah, and, you know, they've been providing, Weston Sampson's also been providing, the backup operator here. That's kind of how I got here. So to have that backup it's important.
Is
I-
this new for Knowles, or was Weston and Sampson?
Weston
doing
Sampson was it,
before?
and actually their operator went to Knowles. So the operator that was doing it here is
Yeah,
not there.
Knowles, okay.
Now, we did ask Weston Sampson for the same, and they actually was told that they just don't have anyone to provide. So again, it's a labor shortage, labor and licenses, especially on the operation end. So again, having people that we can call in that are familiar with the plant, and that's what was stipulated, you gotta be familiar with the plant, you gotta, you know, be able to show up and help out.
Yeah, Scott, before I was on the on the board here, and I had a visit, we talked about this a little bit, and one of your ideas was that some of your staff people would be moving up in the license.
Still the process, yep.
Yes, but there's someone
100%.
in range in the next few years who'd be able to do this?
Yes, and we did actually just begin employment with a full-time operator, so we do have one more. So now, I mean, it sounds great, but now there's literally only two of us that have a license to run the plant.
Okay,
I
that makes sense to
think,
me.
I'm not sure if he has a six, I'd have to check, I think he does, I think
This
he
is
has a five.
This is essentially our spare tire.
Yeah. Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next one we have is with Weston Sampson. And this is kind of a piggyback on the Knowles one. This is for emergency repair services.
And that's on the plant itself?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the lift stations.
And the-
They have a lot of experience with our lift stations, so they have been the go-to people to come in and do the repairs. They've been great at it. They're great with the emergency response. And again, they have the labor power most of the time. And I just, again, they're very good at reporting to, they've been doing it for years and years, and they've just been great at it. So, yeah, again, this is just kind of a continuation of what they've been doing for us.
I have a subsidiary question, I think, not about the contract per se, but let's say that a lift station goes down, and one remaining pump ceases to function, there's no more lifting. What happens to that branch of the system?
Bad things. We gotta send out pumper trucks.
Okay.
So similarly, when Thatcher went down, that we lost the actual force main that the pumps pump through. Well, pumps were working fine, but it's just coming up to the surface. So we had to send pumper trucks overnight to keep it going until we could get the repair crew in the morning.
And we have pumper trucks on site here,
We had to,
rent those?
not rent them.
Or hire.
We got hire, yeah, put them up for hire.
That was similar to Smith Street back a couple years ago, too,
Yep.
right? Same.
I'm not
Exactly.
as familiar with it, but yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Exactly, same thing.
That basically is the go-to. If you lose the pumps, we start
Oh, yeah.
bring the haulers in. I mean, the biggest issue would be narrows. If narrows went down, we are in,
Deep doo-doo.
yeah.
Because we don't have trucks big enough to handle the volume.
It is, it's nonstop parade.
They'll be lined up. Pumping.
Welcome.
Come on in.
Hello.
Hi,
You're welcome here.
I'm Sandra. I didn't know it was at 1:30. No one told me.
On the agenda.
Only you looked at the agenda to get ready for 6:30. Did you send the
What were you
agenda,
doing,
did you
camera
send the
You
agenda
found
out?
Toby yesterday?
It was posted.
What?
Were you doing camera work in front of Toby yesterday? I saw the ambulance out there.
Yeah, that, they were not doing it there. That's where it broke down,
Oh,
You have to sign on that.
which is why there will be a camera truck
Not
on
just
the
one.
on the.
line item for
Everybody has to
the
individual sign.
It'll all be on
finance
one.
case.
Oh, okay.
They did their best with that truck. The truck is just added to.
Weston Sampson.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We just finished the Weston Sampson contract.
And who's the clerk pro tem?
You are.
No, I'm just came. You didn't,
No.
you didn't select one? Okay. All right.
Everything's recorded so far.
The camera's the clerk.
Doesn't quite work that way, but fine. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the agenda until I got ready for 6:30's meeting tonight. The agenda was never passed out. Okay. What did I miss?
So basically 4 contracts.
It was just the contracts. And there was discussion for each one.
Riveting.
Yeah.
Learning experience.
Waiting till ping pong.
That's not tonight.
No, sorry, capital planning.
Capital planning.
Okay, the next is we have the second half sewer usage commitment to go to John Foster in the amount of $3,658,916.51.
Jimmy, before that, can you please acknowledge that I arrived in the time I did for the records?
Yes,
1:45.
Thank you.
Kelly Sandy arrived at 1:45.
All right, sorry.
Second half sewer usage commitment. This is, just need a motion on this.
What is this?
What is this for? Yeah.
Yeah,
explain it.
Sending the bills
For
out.
the, yeah,
Sending those out to the client, okay. No, I make a motion to approve it. The second fiscal year 25, second half sewer usage commitment.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The vote was 400.
Yeah.
Don't you count at this point?
Yeah, you-
I didn't vote.
Okay. So you can abstain from abstaining.
Mm.
I just have one question about that. So on the last page, there's the total, 3 million, et cetera. And under that, there's sewer 1, sewer 2, and sewer 3. What are those? There's small amounts, but I'm just wondering what those are. There's sewer 5, sewer 1, sewer 2, and sewer 3.
Oh, I believe those are accounts we were trying to zero out because they've been lingering. Let me just see.
As far as the receivables go,
Yeah, oh, did I not get that?
No, it's just me, Scott.
Yeah, those are accounts that we're trying to zero out. Because they are,
Those are included in this total.
so we sent them bills as well, I believe.
So you're trying to collect on those, is that what you're saying?
We're just trying to zero them out, they've been outstanding.
Okay.
Are they inborn?
These are ours.
I don't know,
This isn't one.
Well, this is our sewer usage fee for the town of Wareham.
Mhm.
Correct.
So just make sure I understand what's going on here. So this is authorizing the funds that come in from sewer bills to go to the town
This is authorizing the town to bill for,
to bill,
to bill for this.
Okay.
So the town sends out the bills to the sewer users.
yes.
And then the money
So-
goes straight to the town, doesn't have
Clerk
anything to
does.
do with that. So
Correct, yes.
Okay.
so, but then these people that are listed here, these entities, what do they represent?
There were some outstanding balance, yeah, that we're trying to zero out. They were found and we're just trying to zero.
No, you're talking the top part?
Yeah.
Yes, right, do we have a collection, do we hire a collection agency or somebody to go after this money, or we just let it hang until?
I have no idea, but now it's going to go out, and if we don't have the feedback that we're looking for, then we'll have to go that direction.
So they, I would assume they've been billed in the past, they just haven't paid, is that what you're saying?
Not 100% sure, that's where we're not clear,
All right.
so we're sending it out,
Who
and
can answer that for us?
Are you talking about the NBE holdings?
Yes, this whole
Those
list.
are brand new.
I don't know.
No, we're not talking about those.
Well,
Yeah, we
I
are.
think
Yeah, I
Gary
think they-
was.
yeah, I think we are.
I'm just trying to figure out these people right here, or these entities, all right? They've just received bills, or they've been outstanding for quite some time, we haven't been able to collect funds from it?
Well, I
It's
know,
not good, she found balances going through the balance sheets,
Good.
and that is what we're trying to zero things out.
is that the sewer 1, 2, 3, or is that the ones actually having the naming at the top? I get confused between,
Yeah.
what was 1, 2, and 3? Sewer 1, 2, and 3, what were those?
This,
No,
Down
Not
at the
down the
bottom.
bottom.
yeah, yeah.
this,
yes.
this.
Sewer one is this,
See it down here?
and then sewer two are these two,
That's not the same amount.
correct?
See sewer number 2, second from the bottom, that represents
Yeah,
a bunch of sewer 2s, I think.
top right, penny.
But the 121 High Street, 123 High Street are
Those
brand
are
new,
brand new.
brand new buildings. Duplexes that were built on High Street, Unit A and Unit B.
So these are-
So I don't consider them old,
You're taking
they're
them?
probably
No,
brand
again, I
new.
think that, again, she found it on the balance sheet.
Scott,
Huh?
you're taking them?
She does know, but we can't get her on camera the rest of the time. I'll ask her.
Or maybe just for the next meeting, you can have an explanation.
Explanation in a second.
And my concern is, could this grow and grow and grow? Right, people, and then if it does grow, do we have something,
We're gonna be chasing it.
right, do we have somebody on the
Uh,
professional side that chases it?
I,
'Cause I don't see any amount that represents the Boston Land Corp. Group LLC and the numbers below it all.
Hmm.
Would this be something for the town council to pursue?
yeah, if we don't have any response on this building.
Even to find out who they are, when's the last time they paid, why is it being billed?
Yeah, I'm sure
et
Mr.
cetera, et cetera.
Foster would have these questions.
So, when would we know, if the bills go out, when would we know whether they've paid or not? Is it like a 3-month thing, or 2-month thing, or?
No, I don't know what the timeframe is on the, when they send the sewer bill out, when it's due.
Mine,
There's a due date on
there's
it.
a due date, now mine just came, it was a
That
week
doesn't
or
answer
so,
the
or
question.
I haven't seen mine in a while. I haven't seen mine recently.
She sees those stuffed out, but, we can email out an answer
Okay.
as soon as she gets back, so.
We will do that.
So Scott, do you know, the question just arose, when would we know whether these accounts were settled or not? Is it a 3-month process, or is that a,
I believe bills are typically due within 30 days.
okay?
I think so, but I don't know.
they are, or not?
I don't know what the town does on the sewer bills.
So we should know by April.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does the town give you any kind of a report on what's
Yes.
outstanding?
Yeah, and then we get, obviously there'll be people coming for abatements if they.
Okay, and the last thing we did is this grease and septic accounts. What we have here is 2 accounts. Vicky's got the books in line right now, except for these 2 accounts. One of them shows the pure flow, which is the first, is the grease item, is showing a credit of $1,100. And this goes back to 2015. And it's unclear if this is a true credit, and we'd like to adjust it to bring it to balance to 0. We just can't find out whether it's a credit or not. Or whether it's a,
So I'm not following.
they've been carrying on the books $1,100 credit. And can't find out where it is from, or if it is a credit, and why it's there. It's kind of a,
Who has, we have been, or the company has been?
We have been.
we have,
So we owe someone $1,100. Yes.
not the way I'm reading it, not necessarily. We have,
It says a true credit.
says it, receivables are unclear if this is a true credit. Like to adjust to bring it to a balance of 0.
And who would know? John Foster?
So On that?
or,
Yeah, because
I don't know if John would know or not.
I don't think he would.
He doesn't do the septic.
it
alright,
ha-
so it'd be in-house, yeah?
Yeah.
it has to be, we owe them money on that one, because if you go to the second one, the hauler here, septic system hauler, and the note back here has an outstanding of 192, and that is a positive balance versus, right, see that down there? So,
Yeah, we're saying they owe it and they
They owe
haven't been able to collect on it.
right, that's what I was talking about on this other sheet before, but it sounds like that one here, we owe $1,100 to someone, I mean, we don't even know if this septic, I mean, what's the name, we don't know.
Pure
Isn't it
Flow.
Flow, I don't
Was
think
it-
they exist anymore. But it goes back to 2015.
Well, before we zero that out, we should find out from them if they still exist. Right? I mean, we can zero it out, but, I mean, who knows what they're carrying on their books?
I would think that we would have heard from them.
I was
Correct.
gonna say from
So,
2015, I would say we
you know,
heard.
again, I
we
think-
haven't heard.
On both ends, good business practice would be to zero it out, because if they haven't reached out to us, if they're not reaching out to us every 30 days, then something's gone wrong.
Well,
Or we could just take the 1,100 and donate it to coloring books for kids in Kabul.
So I'd like
That's how the
to,
government does it.
You know,
I'd like to make a motion that, somebody from this office make an attempt to contact Pure Flow, to find out from them, A, if they still are in business, and B, if so, if they show any debit on their books from Wareham for their work for this septic disposal grease.
we could do that.
Need a second.
Yeah,
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Wait, let's explain it to Sandy. So we've got a motion on the table to contact Pure Flow, for someone in this office to contact Pure Flow to see if they're still in business and if we have to tell them anything if they're still in business before we zero this out.
And by zeroing it out, you would just do it on the books as opposed to giving the money?
Yeah, because if there's no one to give it to,
Okay,
sorry, Jimmy, that was.
That's all right. Okay.
Now we need a vote.
Okay, we've got motion and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and for the next one, Barbosa sanitation, to zero that one out, and then we collected, it hasn't been collected. And that's been.
so they're out of business
2020.
No
on
idea.
Bozer Sanitation?
I have no idea.
All we have is reference to 2023 email from Lee.
This has been overdue since 2020.
To John Foster. Yeah.
Since 2020?
So could this be bundled with the other ones? I mean, would a bill go out to them again?
I'd like to, if we could find, if they exist.
Well, bills obviously has gone up because we have received one books for 192, right? My concern is I just look at this as, do we have a process in place that says at the end of 60 days or 90 days, we are going to effectively do this, send them a file notification, blah, 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 so that we don't run, because I can see 2 years down the road, we run into a bunch more of this that pop up. So we never should get to that, should be revolving, so we know what's going on constantly. Every 30 days, who's on the, I call it the bad debt list, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, this goes back to what, 2020? Has this been brought up before, or someone just happened to find this?
This is the
what's
first
being
time.
found, so.
Can I ask a top question, I mean, why are we finding it now? Because the people that are actually doing it.
Yeah.
the job?
Yes.
I like that.
How about that?
Yeah.
Right.
Victoria's
Exactly.
Yeah,
fantastic.
then why don't we
Looks like Bob Ross is-
establish an SOP for our own receivables? That when we're owing money like this, if they don't pay within 30, 60, we contact them, we have letters written so we have a record of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can see this reoccurring down the road with somebody else.
But should that be our
That should be an
responsibility, or
internal
should it be the
That's an
town
internal-
council's
I
responsibility?
think with septic and
Septic
grease,
is
where it
ours.
stays here, I think
It
it's.
stays here.
We don't have
And
our-
the easiest way to collect is to just shut them off from coming in. If they pass 45, 60 days, whatever it might be, shut off, sorry, you can't dump, go somewhere
Mhm.
else until you pay, you settle up.
So,
It's easy enough.
and since this is since
Chas
two,
Pond Road.
this is going on since 202, so we're 4,
5 years out now,
yeah,
yeah.
we're in the fifth cycle, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty much, get back that, they're not in business anymore.
I think they are.
They are?
Yeah. Looks to be. The town, too.
is there Barbosa sanitation? You can find
that
that goes to just Barbosa, because there's a bunch of Barbosas.
Yes.
Yeah,
In different businesses,
I see the truck.
but in different businesses.
well, I got Barbosa's Sanitation Services, so I
Would
guess
be
we
a
have to find out whatever information we have on this account and see if it jives with.
I make a
what I
motion,
found.
we send Barbosa Sanitation a, return receipt request for payment of $192.24.
Sounds good.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who handles all this free stuff? Is it you?
Victoria, yeah. And she just, she not just got here, she got here last June. But has now learned the system very well, and she's been getting into some of the older stuff and really just trying to help us sort things out.
That's great.
So we've got a much better grip on finances now.
Okay, so go forward with the bill to them, return receipt. Scott, you have a report?
Yeah, so I think last I reported the system was having some peril with the bacteria, but it's since recovered very nicely. Everything's working very well. The crew here continues to work together, and they've been doing a lot of painting. So I don't know if you noticed the grounds, the walls here have been all painted, and they've been doing some of the other buildings as well. The stairwells are, really doing the operation buildings, but they're much cleaner. We're building up shop space with a cage to be able to lock the tools and be able to count for things much better. We also did that with a safety cage inside the control room, and it has locks and sign in, sign out. But we're not keeping health and safety equipment, we just have it in a different place, and we have a better accounting system for that too. So we're really trying to make things have systems. Each step of the process has a different system to make sure we account for products that we're buying and everything else, so we can just keep within the budget. So that's about it for today, though.
Do you have any kind of system when you get a piece of equipment, it gets a barcode or something, and then its location,
Not
date,
that
and all that?
sophisticated yet, no. No, we're not there yet.
Is there some kind of system for that though?
It's all done by paper stuff, unfortunately.
Okay.
So you have no asset tracking at all whatsoever?
No. This things that need to be developed. We're trying to get, even like the day-to-day stuff, lift station run times on tablets instead of paper, which then comes here, and then they have to transpose it into Excel. It should be able to be done on tablets. So these are things we're moving forward on.
Nice.
But, so now that we have a crew, we can train the crew how to use it all and move forward. Before, where it was such a small crew, it was just, let's get things as much done as we can. But now that we have a very full staff, we're gonna be able to put in some of these metrics and systems, so things should be a lot easier going forward.
Any unanticipated items?
Just as I have received, as the rest of you have, letters from people in Wareham requesting this, requesting that, and I look at it and I read it. Right, so I hate to use the word assume, because you happens to assume that you respond to all this yourself, right? Okay. So
And do you share that response with us at
Yeah,
all?
so-
If there's a response that is necessary to be shared, yes.
So we don't know whether you did, if you responded to somebody, we
I
have it.
responded.
If you didn't respond, then nothing happened. I guess I'm gonna try again.
No,
You
that's
responded,
If there's a reason for me to let everybody know that something happened with it, I mean, I had one thing that came in, said I wanted to know if they were hooked up with sewer. I don't think that's necessary to respond to everybody to tell
But-
them it's been responded to that, no, they weren't
well, I
hooked up with sewer.
think that is important, that you responded to it as opposed to letting it hand out there.
I'll let you know here. We'll put it on the agenda that it's happened.
Well,
Necessary.
so I'd like to know what the answer was to this person.
I gave you the answer.
You responded.
I gave you the answer too.
What was the answer?
Exactly what I responded to you.
I guess I understand.
I said I responded to the person, told them where it's in discussion. When it goes on the agenda, it'll be posted. We'll let them know if anything comes up that's worth discussing. Right now, there isn't anything worth discussing.
So this is an open item, nothing, no response yet.
I gave you the response.
I missed it.
That's it. There is not, we are still in discussion. It's still with the contractor.
We gonna talk about Robinwood at all?
Yeah.
This is not Robinwood.
What were you talking about?
This is the one on 10 Knowles Road. This is dated January 12th. Our offer on the project at 10 Knowles Road has been accepted. We are aware of the existing failed cesspool and are attempting to estimate for a new septic system. However, we are exploring the possibilities. Does this ring a bell at all?
Not a bit.
See, this is why I'm concerned that this stuff happens, and this came in January 12th, so I don't know if Georgiana has been responded to in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
It came up to sewer commissioners.
yeah, that's why I found it interesting,
That one I
the
didn't-
project, and I tried to,
See, that bothers me that you didn't have it.
Never had that one.
yeah, see, that's why I was bringing this up. So that we all, so if you missed or you didn't get an email,
I never got anything.
we ought to say, hey, where's the response to this? We all chime into it. This,
Are we getting this as sewer commissioners? If it goes to sewer commissioners at wareham.ma.us, do we all get it?
I received it.
I received it.
I did
Did you
not.
receive it? I found it very interesting. So,
Does that ring a bell at all?
I haven't seen anything about it, but
Well,
this
no,
road
you-
is right off a depot, right?
Yes,
Right
it's
over
off,
here?
yes, it's
Is that the
down
one?
There is sewer on it.
is that the one where they're trying to hook into the sewer coming out of a broken septic system?
Sounds like it.
No?
This is Knowles.
I'm,
Do you know where the school is?
what?
The East Wareham School that's been being rehabbed? That's Knowles going down off of Depot,
Okay.
down toward the river. And there was one house on that being reconstructed.
And they were looking to,
That's what we see is,
Yeah.
can we hook up to, can we take our septic system up to the line on Depot Street?
Yeah, so
So
that-
we don't have to have a cesspool. And so that's the one I thought was being responded to.
This one is, my name is Georgina Duffy.
You got it.
yeah, yeah.
And can you send it to Jimmy? See, he said
Yeah,
never,
yes,
he
'cause I don't
never
have
got
it.
it.
I don't have
See,
it.
so the problem could go back to when someone, a public, John Q. Public sends an email out, or gets the sewer commission,
Mm-hmm.
they may not get everybody included on the email. So I'm assuming that he may not see this. So then we have no idea if anybody,
Because when I last checked, we were all on that distribution, including Jimmy. When I checked with IT on that
I was just
distribution.
checking, and I don't have it, I checked it.
it's all right, I mean,
12, I've got items in here from the 12th, but not that.
Scotland sent it to me.
You should have it now. And then Sandy responded with Jimmy, what is the procedure when the email is sent to all commissioners? Who responds to the sender? Who sends the questions to Scott K?
And no response on that. Sorry, you want to read it to Jimmy again?
Yeah, so on the 12th of January, we got an email from Georgina Duffy Hetzel.
Right.
Offer on the property, 10 Knowles has been accepted. wants to know about their sewer system connection. Now, there are 4 questions there. And then Sandy forwarded the message to some, looks like all of us.
All of
And
us.
said, Jimmy, what is the procedure when an email is sent to all commissioners? Who responds to the sender? Who sends the questions to Scott K? Now, it's easy.
And I use my personal distribution, not sewer commissioners'
Yeah.
distribution, so I know it went to all 5 of us.
So obviously, there can be a point in time where John Q. Public tries to contact us or
And
something.
it looks like it's gone into a dead hole
It
and
goes into the
they're ignoring me. I
abyss,
don't
right?
understand why I'm being ghosted
Right.
and all that other stuff, so this is why I was hoping that Jimmy can say to us, I have responded to Georgiana, so we all know that it's
But
been.
there could come a
Yeah.
time where he or one of us never gets a copy of this, or it comes through on our email.
Mhm.
So how do we back check?
Yeah, sometimes the emails fail too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
because normally I get, if one comes in and I get, I will do something with it, maybe respond directly to them or send it to,
Yeah,
like in one instance, I sent it directly to Vicky because it was to determine whether or not they had sewer available to them. And she responded to them.
I think Sandy's suggestion makes a lot of sense, just for everyone's peace of mind, that when you respond, Jimmy, just, in the CC line, just put the sewer
Yeah.
commissioners, and then we'll all get it.
Hopefully. Yeah, not a problem. Simple
Thank you.
enough.
You're welcome.
Let's,
But I'm concerned about Robinwood.
So this is, I think, what Jimmy was talking
That's what I
about.
was
We don't
wondering.
have anything to discuss
No,
yet
everything
because
to
they're
discuss.
creating the plan to connect
Okay.
to the Nanimate
See,
Air
I was
Station.
talking about that email,
I
Oh,
was talking about,
and he was talking
and
about.
there was nothing that said you were talking about Robinwood.
Yeah.
so I thought you were talking about, like, no,
No.
you were
This is
talking about
awesome.
this.
See,
Yeah,
this is
Who's
why
on first?
It's
I
like
am
Thanksgiving dinner.
concerned. Yeah, I am concerned. I think you were sent a copy of that?
I think we have who's on first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have now.
Okay, so I'd like to have
All right.
that back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yes, we're waiting for their engineer to come up with what their plan is to connect, and then we can let other people know how they might be able to connect into that line.
Because I'm sure there are a lot of people down there who would prefer to get rid of their cesspool
They're a significant amount, and I would like to help
and
them
not,
do it,
and not
however.
pay the Title V.
Right.
I just did home.
All that being said, at this point, we don't have any plan to sewer specific areas. But I put the onus on the owners if they wanna connect, on your line, let's get to the next place, but.
You know
Is
how
it-
far they, some, go ahead.
No, go, I was gonna say, if that developer is gonna take that line down another street and another street and another street, there's a lot of homes down in that portion of Onset that could benefit by tying in.
Yeah, what part of Onset is that?
Do you know, Sias Point? No?
Go down
If you
Onset
go
Ave,
down
right
Onset
north.
Ave, you have a road called Robinwood on the right,
Okay,
go down there.
okay.
Keep going to where the seminary used to be, that building's gonna come down, and that's where they're putting in 7 or 8 houses.
Yes.
Yeah, something
Well,
like
have
that.
we seen this in the Conservation Commission?
We've only seen, on conservation have only seen the layout of the roads.
Okay.
The individual houses have to come up to us individually as they are being built, because there is some issues with wetlands.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's usually how I see these things, I do a site visit, then I know we're.
Okay, next meeting. 27th. Basketball workshop here.
Can I make a recommendation that the agenda be sent to everybody?
Emails?
Email. If you're sending the agenda to the town, include us on the distribution you send to the town.
Yeah, that's easy.
How'd you find out about a 1 o'clock meeting today?
I came by yesterday, I picked up my packet.
I had it in, a note there, an email from, out front here.
Anita?
I think so, yes.
How'd you find out it was 1 o'clock today?
1:30.
1:30?
I've known about it since the last meeting, and I have been looking forward to this
What,
since that very
that
time.
last meeting?
Yes.
Yeah,
I was at that last meeting and I don't remember this being
But there's
called at
a,
1:30.
there was some
Yeah.
reference to the meeting being at
Yes, it
1
was.
o'clock, that's why it was here.
No,
at
the
5
last
o'clock.
meeting was, meeting at 1:23 and we didn't have the meeting.
No.
the previous meeting,
Previous meeting,
1:09?
1/9.
yes.
I don't have it in my notes.
That's
And I
yours.
looked at the 1:09 minutes and I didn't see them in there either.
Hmm.
Anyway, I wish I had a phone call saying, Sandy, where are you?
Would've been nice.
It would have been nice. I figured all
Duly
boys,
noted, we'll call you next
all
time.
boys club.
We'll try to next
I
time.
think it was all boys
don't
club.
go down that road.
I looked for your number, I don't have it,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna
I
add
have.
you.
She's number
Next
one.
meeting, February 27th.
What time?
What
That
time?
would be at 6:30, room 320.
No, 5:20.
5:20, I'm sorry.
We moved.
Yeah, that's right too.
5:20?
Okay.
Yep.
I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting at 2:20?
Could I,
1:20? 2:20.
To the workshop.
if I needed to get on Zoom, is that possible for that? Can we do that for that meeting? Isn't that set up
I
in
think so.
5:20 like the
Yeah.
others?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
might be, I think.
Okay.
Can we do Zoom at 5:20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you
I
have
think
to,
I'm
you have to
27.
clarify, you do have to clarify,
I
is it
think
a public Zoom meeting or is it a just a connection for him to connect? Because if it's just a connection for him to connect, then it doesn't need to be on the agenda. If it is a public Zoom meeting, then it has to be on the agenda.
Hmm.
Do we have a motion on the table?
Yes, I thought we did.
Yeah, I seconded the motion to adjourn, but we're gonna take care of this Zoom business. Does it need to be public? No, it can just be private?
Well, the Zoom,
John's
yeah,
call.
the Zoom can be just,
Yeah.
on this can be private, because we're gonna have the, that's gonna be in 5:20, so we'll.
Yeah, okay.
If
Yeah,
you
we'll
try,
have
I gotta
quorum
check
anyway,
something.
so yeah.
That's all I asked.
Yeah,
All right,
so, okay.
private.
Okay.
All in favor of adjourning this meeting?
Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Now I'd like to call the workshop to order. Roll call, please.
Tom Scanlon?
Terry Pastor?
Scott Selby?
Sandy Slavin.
Jim DeBerti. We have some items here.
We declare a quorum.
Just have the roll call.
You'd have to say I declare a quorum.
Okay, declare quorum.
Thank you. I know you don't like formalities.
Okay. First item on our agenda is the Narrows forced main. Well, Scott comes back in, but basically, we had a meeting in here. I met with Scott, the Weston and Sampson people to begin the diagram layout for it, where they're gonna go and how it's gonna connect.
I'm totally lost in this
Okay,
too.
the force main runs along Minot Avenue from the Narrows pump station
Right?
to the plant, to here. And
Several town meetings ago, we approved a fee of how much? 6 million?
we have 6 is the last.
So we have funding to redo the force main, which is close to failing.
Yeah,
It's in bad shape.
So, just from an engineering standpoint, what does force main mean?
it means that that's under pressure to come down here rather than gravity fed.
So it's pumping something.
Everything from the town, if I'm not mistaken,
Basically,
goes to the Narrows pump
From
station.
that side of the river.
And from that side of the river and gets pumped up through the force main.
Swiss Beach, Agawam, not
And what doesn't go to the force main in the town?
Onset.
Onset, that's, is
Well,
that,
Onset's got its own force main,
Okay,
a separate line.
all right, then are there any non-force, are there any gravity feds to the station here?
I don't
Don't
believe
think so. Because I think the one coming down Oak Street comes in and connects to the force main on Minot
Yeah.
and gets fed.
I like to look at pictures, so I say that in reference to, is there a chance we could get, I can understand a C,
Yeah.
where the stations are and which is forced to.
Let me see if I can get the,
No,
Scott would have that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'd definitely be able to.
it's in one of the conference rooms.
Let's see, I'd say,
You know what I mean?
Scott's just got, as a matter of fact, Scott's just
Yeah,
got
we have
something
it.
from GHD that will have all of that on his.
So I would, now I understand like a Lego kit, we got some connecting to some station to station?
Well, you've got pump stations throughout the town, so you've got various things that will go into a pump station, which in turn pumps to another pump station, which in turn pumps to another one, which in turn pumps to.
That's what I'm saying.
To Narrows and Heinz Field
Okay,
are the two primary.
Where the stars are.
Narrows is the one on Merchant's Way that you can see from the hospital. It's raised up, brick building,
Yeah.
just before the bridge. That's the pump station we're talking about. That's the Narrows.
And the force main runs between that and the plant here. So the force main handles a lot.
Quite a bit.
Yeah,
Who's mine to that?
Crucial.
Who's the arrows?
Okay. Yes. Now I see. So we connect the dots here, where the product flows.
My favorite euphemism.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absolutely.
And so as a result, the Narrows pump station and the Narrows force main are crucial to the town.
Are they in, so this 6 million that's been appropriated, is this for digging another trench to
was-
put a pipe in?
Well,
I mean,
the history on that, the original was we were gonna line it.
That's what the money was for,
That's what
lining.
we were gonna line it. And we had $3 million allocated for that. The bids came in 5.5. So we had to go back, we got the authorization for 6.
okay.
So we reversed the 3 and made it
So we-
6.
So we have 6, we're gonna do the lining. The linings that were proposed were not structural, didn't have structural integrity
Sorry,
on the exterior.
the bid that
They would
came in,
only hold, they would only be, were structurally on the interior as long as there was pressure. If there was any loss of pressure at all for any reason, they would lose that integrity. So those got blown out. And Scott then, talking with the Narrows, suggested the best route is to leave the line, the force main that's in place, and put another one parallel to it. To be the new one, using whatever material we use, so that it will make,
that would require the digging.
But
but
it'll last.
Yeah,
We'll put
I'm
in
just
high density
Trying to bring
polyethylene.
Carrie up to date.
Yeah.
Yeah, high density polyethylene, I mean, they use it for gas, and that's everything. It will withstand long after us.
But will 6 million do it?
It's gonna be tight. The other thing that wasn't included, that is going to drive it up a little bit closer to 9, I think, is putting that third line underneath the river. Currently, there's only 2 lines under the river. And the third line would be beneficial in that it would be bigger to sustain the growth of the town in the future.
When you mean under the river, under the Agawam River?
Yeah.
So it's not the river at Main Street? He's
By the
talking.
Narrows, you're talking down here,
Yeah,
right?
he's talking long further, that line comes down by the railroad tracks and goes under the river, and that's where he's talking about a third line.
And that way we can get back out. Because right now, we have no route out of here.
And when is this all scheduled to commence?
It's being engineered right now, and then it'll commence after the engineering is completed. We've got to RFP,
Do we need to go back to town hall, at town meeting, and ask for more than the 6?
most likely.
Can you have it done for special spring?
No. The engineering's not completed yet, I can't tell you how much it's gonna cost yet.
So the best we can do is
Probably fall,
fall town meeting.
So will this need NEPA review?
most likely, especially going underneath the river again. And a lot of the places we do work will be adjacent to the buffers, for sure.
So did you have original time frame on when you'd like to get this done, or when the public?
5 years ago.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
Well-
5-year expiration date that was given on the line was 5 years ago.
So
We're now 10 years.
The line is
that-
thin.
Right, but then when we know 6 million's not gonna cover it, we go for 9, and we get delayed till the fall, and we find out the prices are more, when's our next chance we go in front? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, you don't go to a rich uncle and ask him for a nickel.
Right, that's why we gotta wait till fall till we get the plans, so we know how much it's gonna
So
cost.
does the public know that this is not gonna be done in the next year or two? Probably,
No,
Public doesn't care, right?
You know,
As long as it works.
well, yeah, but I mean, I thought, okay. I'm just sensitive because in my neighborhood, we all understand all the stuff that we have gone through.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So people ask all the time, you know, so, not, but you've corrected, but
So what, the pipes that are there now, are they like corrugated steel or concrete or?
It's ductile iron.
It's what?
Ductile iron,
Ductile iron. Oh, so are they all rusted out or?
they're rotting from the inside out, yeah.
Okay, so they could fail at any time.
you got it.
that's,
Thank you for bringing that up, I'll sleep well tonight.
All right, so is there a way for an emergency appropriation, or does it have to go?
It has to explode first, not kidding.
Okay.
So if it explodes, I guess we do a lining.
No.
And,
No.
and so what does the engineering report do?
It's a fair question, I don't believe there's a true due date, but it should be done within the next few months. So we should be able to go to fall town meeting with a good plan, and in that, hopefully, what we went sat through today will also have some input onto if there's truly a benefit to getting back out to the Narrows with that second round.
So how does this, the Weston Sampson engineering on this project fit into the GHD?
JSD's doing the engineering on the plant itself, Weston Sampson is focused on that line coming from Narrows to this plant.
Okay. Are they aware of each other's activities?
Yep.
Okay.
But one won't affect the other.
Okay.
No. I don't know, Carrie, if you understand when you talk about the third line and the old, what will be the old, I guess abandoned in place force main.
The one that exists
So
now.
the one that exists now, instead of being a line, it's gonna just be set aside, hopefully put in a new line beside it. But in the future, the old line offers us a means of diverting outflow instead of out back here into the Agawam River, further down into the channel by the railroad tracks, by the railroad
By the
bridge.
Narrows.
that's where the
Yeah.
two pipes are now. They come up the river underneath that bridge? Is that where they come?
Don't confuse those, there's only one pipe from the Narrows, right?
Correct.
The two pipes is under a river close to here,
Okay.
Yeah, right out back.
not
So,
leaving the area.
One comes from Heinz Depot, and one comes from Narrows, and they both come over the river and come up here. So, the issue that I saw, when I
It's
got
sorry,
here
Heinz
last,
Depot is Olmsted.
so, the issue that I saw when I got here was, step one, they were gonna use a liner that if the outside pipe failed, it would not sustain itself, it would collapse. The liner they were gonna use. Secondly, the installation of the liner required an entire bypass, basically taking the HDPE line that we could have installed adjacent to the existing line and put it on the surface, going underground or at
Temporary
every single driveway we go
Yeah.
across, all the way here, except for under the river. And to line the pipe that goes under the river with that liner, which again, should the pipe collapse, wouldn't sustain itself. They were gonna have to take that temporary line that I'm telling you was gonna go all the way the distance, and the only way to actually bypass that system was to tie into the second line. So this one would be dead, well, I guess line, and this one, where it comes from Heinz Depot, would be tapped into. And no one would give a guarantee that if we put that additional flow into that singular line, it wouldn't explode. So that seemed like a bad idea in general. So as much as I had just got here, I was like, that seems like a bad idea. So we kind of took a pause and reevaluated. I didn't know I had the ability to until I talked to Derek. And he told, yeah, if you don't like it, we can install it. So I was like, oh, great, let's reevaluate.
Is there a way to hurry Weston Sampson along so that we can bring it to the spring meeting?
No time.
No, we haven't
Springtown
done it like a
meeting,
month.
sorry. Articles for Springtown meeting are due the end of February.
No, that's not gonna make it then.
Mm-mm.
No.
Even for special spring, which is due mid-March, you're not gonna make it either.
So can you let them know though, that we have to definitely have this by the fall meeting?
Absolutely.
And the article for the fall meeting is due September.
Okay.
So we want this by the middle of July,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How long of a construction project would this be if they started on November 1 of next year?
I think it's a 6-month project. I don't think it's a year-long project.
A lot
But,
of
we're
digging.
trenching. We're trenching a trench that was already done. And we're going directly adjacent to a path we already know. It should be,
It's fairly simple then, right? Fairly
Yeah.
straightforward.
Well, nothing ever is,
Well,
is it?
of course not, because now we have new gas lines,
Just
the
a
utilities that go
question.
under there.
And
but
now
still-
you have
yeah.
homes that are connected to that force main on Narrows.
And that was the other part. So as much as we're gonna try to do this all underground by pulling a liner through, you then still have to dig up the 11 perforations to that pipe and reconnect them.
Yeah.
So we're still digging, but we were just not gonna dig as much. So it was still gonna be a massive disruption to that road.
Yeah.
So again,
So
going
just do it
back and
once,
putting
do
in
it
a
right.
second line that's gonna actually last, and then maybe trying to capture and make the existing line serviceable for effluent. It just gives options. We have no options right now. This is the way to create options.
And you and I had talked about this before in reference to digging the trench. Is there anything else that needs to go in this trench other than this pipe we're talking about, that futuristic down the road that we could think of?
That's why I'm leaving the second pipe. That's all I can think of.
That acts as a conduit then for something that
Something
you wanna
else,
run down
yeah.
through it.
A reverse flow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Or something for electrical, anything we need that we could think down the road,
Water
You know what I'm
lines.
saying?
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So that's all I had.
But it's good.
I'm gonna just
So let the
step
water
Sorry, being a
department, so
newbie,
let
that's
the
what
water
I'm doing.
Yeah,
department
we'll let them
know
know. Yeah, because they might want to move their
their
pipes over
lines.
there.
There might be time to be updating.
In speaking with the water department recently, we agreed that when we're doing trenching like this, we let them know so that we can.
They took advantage of the speech on Kinko.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we should be working together
That's what I'm saying.
so that, we've been talking, things have been very good.
I'd rather work smarter than harder.
Yep.
If conversely, MassDOT is going to tear up on Marion, between Viking.
Route 6,
Yeah, between Viking Drive and
release it.
Cremisa. You're gonna narrow from 4 lanes down to 2. So they have to dig that all up anyway, so if we have any business out there, we might wanna keep
Yeah.
that in mind as well.
Yeah, definitely. We'd probably maybe even throw a blank conduit, because I know that there was a regional plan that included having a pipe come in from there, so if we can lay something in that makes sense, then,
Yep.
things to think about.
And MassDOT is doing it from the bridge at Route 6, just outside of Hamilton, to Cremisa. It's another component that MassDOT is gonna work on.
Yeah.
So, you guys carry on.
I mean, I think we've all seen these things where the county will come in and repave a road, it's all nice and beautiful, it's all these
2 months later, it gets messed up.
2 months later, they dig another trench to put something else in there, we don't want that, right?
No, preferably not. No, on that particular thing, Scott, just as I was saying, I had spoke with Scott the other day after you and I talked about that particular issue. Okay, anything else on the force main?
Yeah, let's just make sure that they have July 15 as the deadline for
Well,
engineering.
we're pushing for it and see if they come up with it. I want them to do it right, because I don't want to have to go back more than once on this damn thing.
But I think a half an engineer working half-time on this
Yeah, it should be able to be done. We just need to get
Should
them,
be.
we just need a date certain from now, so we can bring it to town meeting.
Yeah.
When is the town meeting in the fall?
Fourth Monday in October,
But warrant articles have to be filed in
Probably.
September.
September.
probably 1st of September, if not end of August, somewhere in that time frame. Because right now, we're looking at the fourth Monday in, March, April, May, April?
And it also gives us
Exactly.
time, it also gives us time to do something like, I hate to say it, but something on Facebook to educate the public, because the more votes we can get, the better off we'll be. We did that for the $36 million plant upgrade, and it went well.
Unfortunately, it's all being borne by sewer users.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay, Buzzards Bay grant that we got for the estuary evaluation, you all have
who did this document?
GHD.
Are we talking the,
Just met with them this morning. And this is just their start.
okay, who paid for this?
The grant.
Whose grant?
What's the
They get from the
coalition?
state.
Coalition.
Cover the whole thing, I think.
Yep.
So who are they gonna present this to?
I'm gonna have them here before us on the 10th of April. The workshop. Because they've got a couple of things that they have to do for the state, what it says. Stage, it shows on your thing, they've got some things due April 1st.
So how do we get this out to the general public?
We don't, at this point.
We don't, as we don't get a lot of attendance at our meetings.
Yeah, but our ratings are up the charts on cable.
I know.
Do we each get a spin on the jet yet? That's what I wanna know.
That's
It
the
looks pretty
thing,
promising.
that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's by GHD.
Yeah,
Yeah,
What is that?
they got a couple of things that are on their project schedule for the 1st of April, so if we don't go until then, then have them in the workshop on
they
this.
got a grant to study the effluent discharge in the river out here. So it didn't cost the town anything. It was
So what this,
That's what you.
that's it, yeah,
That's all you care about.
that's it.
Yeah, does it include the possibility of discharge?
That's
No,
what
we're
we're
It's
here.
working towards
That's
that,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about.
Okay, because every,
That's
so it's
That's all in.
been the reverse flow of
This is all
the narrow.
part of
So then I was, yeah.
Just as a geographical challenged person here right now, on the river, when it comes up, narrows up here. From here, where does it go? Where does it come into parts of the onset side where you want it? Where does it-
This Agawam River
Yeah,
flows behind the main street of Wareham. That's where
Yeah.
this river goes out.
yeah, I know.
And then that river
Yeah,
goes
where's
out
it-
to Buzzards Bay.
Where does it go from here
Yeah,
upstream?
You find it coming in under the Elks.
Through Plymouth?
No, I know the Elks, I got that, under the Elks, and then,
And then up
yeah,
I'm not sure where it comes from above that.
the pond.
Yeah,
And
across the street there.
pond.
there's a pond on the other side of Route 6 and 28 from the Elks.
Right.
Yeah, and then beyond that, you're getting up towards, what,
A
Shangri-La?
little hairy one there.
No, that's
No,
White Island. I
That's
don't
why
think,
Okay.
I'm not there.
I think White Island comes down Wewianick.
There should be this invention where, like, on a piece of paper, you could put, like, shapes of land and.
Oh, wow, what a
Map?
concept. The map.
We'll call it a map.
Oh, wow.
The map.
Brilliant.
I know more from the sea than I.
Now we're getting pushy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, this packet is what they presented, this is an FYI. So,
So we should be prepped for the meeting, they're gonna show up when, where? Did you say?
April,
April 10th.
They're coming here
workshop.
April 10th?
Have them, I'm gonna have them come in.
2 room 520.
Huh?
This
Room
room or
520, yeah.
520? We don't have a lot of of space in here.
Good enough. We need it.
Or where do we see a presentation? On that,
Right there.
as opposed to the screen in room 520?
No,
Yeah.
we'll do that on the 10th.
So who has seen this presentation?
I just got through telling you that we met with them this morning.
So you saw
Myself,
it,
We had
you saw it this morning,
yes, this morning.
and who's
Yes,
we?
Scott, myself,
Okay,
and,
just Scott and you?
yeah, and Anastasia and
Okay,
the other guy that she brought in, Jim something.
Now, look at
So,
So this is me going on that.
that. That can be me, yeah. Yeah, that's more my speed.
That's the autonomous
Yep.
boat that they drive around, survey everything.
Okay. So, just we ought to review and prep ourselves for that, so
It'll be a quiz.
We got a rough idea.
Okay, excellent.
Ballpark idea. And you're gonna be doing the estuary evaluation, and one of the things that they're gonna determine is, you know, whether or not this outfall that we have here can take more. So we'll have some information to be able to go to the state to get our
Increase our permit limit.
outfall permit increased. At the same time, also determine whether or not, as part of the evaluation, whether or not we could use the narrows
Give him
as an
discharge.
additional discharge. That'll be, that they'll be exploring and coming up with something. Well, I had a meeting, we met with Scott and GHD contractors the other day.
quick meeting, went smooth. The construction was going smoothly, there were no hitches, no issues at all at that meeting. Everyone seems pretty satisfied with the way that the work is going. And then we took a short walk around the grounds to see what was being done, and there's quite a bit being done. I think they're on schedule, if not in some areas a little bit ahead of schedule with construction. And yeah, it was a very, very positive meeting, no problems at all.
Who's GHD,
That's the engineering firm.
what's
There's GHD, and then there's Weston and Sampson.
GFD stand for?
GHD, I don't know.
Even their engineers didn't know what it stood for.
Yeah,
All right.
But they're the ones doing the clarifier work on the site.
yeah,
It stands for good high-priced designs.
yes, there you go.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't walked out back lately, it's worth a walk. There's quite a bit going on back
I've
there.
been out since the last
Since you first came on?
workshop, well, I was twice, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the clarifiers are huge compared to what we have in place now. I think Scott said each clarifier is designed for 1 million gallons, if I'm not mistaken. But he thinks they're gonna wind up being well in excess of that. He thought maybe like 1.5 million gallons. I don't know what our current ones hold, but
Certainly not that
it's
level.
not close to that at all. So, yeah, things are going well.
How about the headworks?
The headworks is pretty much stripped out at this point. I didn't go in there, none of us went in there, but I think all the prep work is done for them to reconstruct it. Scott will be able to tell you more about that, I think. They took down the silo. That, what the heck did it hold, the lack of a better term, the powder that would be introduced into the clarifiers. So that's gone. And I don't think anything, I think they're waiting on supplies for the vehicle storage building.
What's doing the work of the headworks right now?
Well, it's still doing its work. Like I said, I didn't go in, so I didn't see the degree to which they stripped it out. I think what they stripped out was the old septage receiving equipment that wasn't being used anyway.
Okay.
Scott has come up with
Alternative.
an alternative that's exterior of the headworks that allows them to take in septage. So everything septage related inside has been taken out, and I think they're pretty much ready to go with rebuilding it. But yeah, all in all, a good meeting. All of the meetings that I've been to, everything, there hasn't really been any hitches. It's been pretty smooth. Everyone seems to be on top of their own individual operations, so things are going well.
And overall, it seems, everything I've seen out of it has been the same. It's never been an issue. Okay, next item, I'm gonna skip that for half a second just to go to Marion Road DOT. We discussed that briefly already. I think we're in agreement that if there's anything that can be done over there, it should be done when it opens up, and we should be on top of it.
Yeah, that's,
Something that's
that's probably about 2 years out, I'd say,
Yeah.
Easily.
easily 2 years
The
out.
first section, I think, is a year out. That goes up to Calumet from Marion.
So I don't know how these timescales work, like what our planning would be for our engineers and coordinating with MassDOT and all that. I don't know how that would all happen.
Well, I think that right now, I think the main thing is to see what Scott has in mind or what he would recommend that we be looking at, and then see what the engineers, who we need to do, what, if we need to do anything.
What are they actually doing?
They're redoing the road.
DOT,
Yeah, I know.
they are taking Route 6,
Yeah.
going from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, adding a bike lane and sidewalks from Marion border to Viking
So down by
Drive.
the river there, right, to,
Well, just before Cool Cone, where
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
where the bridge is,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Marion,
yeah,
and
going
it's
back.
all the way down to one section to Cremisa, and Cremisa to Viking Drive, which is right there by the town hall. So that will be gone as 2 lane, down to 2 lanes.
And new bridges, right? And new bridges, and,
I'm not sure
I don't
what they're
think so.
doing to the
No?
bridges. I don't think, I
Okay.
think they're just gonna do the surface, because
Yeah.
they talked about raising the bridge in order for
Right.
better boat traffic off of Rose Point. But to do that, the entrance to the bridge would have to be much further away than it is now, and it would impact the entrance into Hamilton.
Ah.
So that's why that never happened.
okay.
So, and to me, it's just changing the width of the road.
Mhm.
I'm not aware of any digging, but who's to say? But if we wanna do something and they're putting down new pavement to new macadam, you do it now, because once you put down macadam, they're not gonna let you dig for 2 years or something. Yeah, so, yeah. But that's the plan that came before conservation, is what I can tell you.
They will be doing a little regrading, but I don't think any major digging.
No,
Okay. We'll keep an eye on that anyhow and see what surfaces are good. Scott, we had that
Right, so
entertaining meeting with the CWMP.
we did, and I think this was a meeting on February 13th. Jimmy and I attended with Anastasia Rudenko and Sarah Greenberg from GHD. And I think the point of the meeting was to bring me up to speed on this Comprehensive Wastewater Management Planning Project, or CWMP. So they went, I'll just briefly go over the PowerPoint which they printed out for us, what they covered in just general terms. So assessment of anticipated wastewater flows and loads for a 20-year period. And that was last done in 2020, I guess. So the next version, going out 20 years, would be for 2045. Some evaluation of alternatives. draft recommendations for the collection system for wastewater treatment and treated effluent recharge. And then they just went over a few things involved in the next steps. They also talked about nitrogen management requirements for the Wareham River, which was completed, and the Wubiantic River and Buttermilk Bay, which have not yet been completed. They explained to us their subdivision of the town, they call them sub-areas for sewer expansion. And the considerations for those were established based on both public health needs and environmental needs. And there were some areas that, all of their sub-areas are defined by environmental needs. In other words, there's too much nitrogen and phosphorus going into the system all over town wherever there's septic. But some areas are also critical for public health considerations. So those bump those areas up, I believe, higher in their priority system for areas that need to be sewered. So the WPCF, that's this plant. Gary, I'm still getting used to all these letters
Yeah.
too, all the acronyms.
Oh.
So it needs upgrades for future operations to handle new connections. It needs to have some equipment replacement. We've talked about some of that already. Some of that's happening. And we've also talked about collection system rehabilitation and resilience. We focused today on the Narrows, but there are other areas. Obviously, we're talking about pump replacement. We approved that contract. And then that's why I asked questions of Scott about what other pumps are in danger of failing soon.
Yeah.
Because I think that resilience is a really important point, and I think having the backup pumps is really going to be critical. They also talked about some options for treated effluent discharge. They talked about ocean outfall, groundwater recharging. I don't know if recharging is a word here. That's what we use out in the desert, is recharging groundwater. I'm not sure that it actually recharges here. And then to do any of that, they need to have these anti-degradation evaluations. And it was starting the Wareham River in early February, so I'm not sure when that would be. That's not what we just looked at, right? That you viewed this morning, it's something else.
Right.
Okay, all right. So I'm not sure when those, and I asked when those evaluations would be done. They really weren't quite sure when those anti-degradation evaluations. And I'd like for them to define a little bit better for us what anti-degradation or what degradation means, so we have a better idea of following what's going on. And all of these need to be done before we can consider increasing the flow from the 1.56 million gallons per day on average. He also gave estimated total project costs for this is over the next 20 years. The centralized wastewater treatment plant that would be here would be about $150 million over the next 20 years.
That's American money.
That's at 2024 dollars. Yeah, that's not Canadian dollars.
No.
That's US dollars. Collection system extensions, they allowed $284 million for that in their plan. Existing collection system rehabilitation, $60 million. And then they have this loosey-goosey figure they call the effluent discharge allowance, which would be, depending on what everybody decides would be the final way of discharging the additional treated effluent of $100 million. So that might be tunneling out to the canal, that might be water recharge, that might be, who knows, high-risk drinking fountains, I don't know. So for a grand total over 20 years of $594 million.
We're almost talking real money.
That's real money.
$500 million
$500 million, yeah.
of today's money.
$24, yeah. So that was their estimated total project costs. You know, and when we met, those numbers really didn't sink in at the time. But when I was preparing this little talk, those numbers really did get my attention.
They kind of bite you, don't they?
Yeah, and you know, if it's just 40% of the town paying these costs,
That's even higher.
yeah, and I think at some point we need to talk about that as well, because the parts of the town that are not on sewer are benefiting from the nitrogen removal as far as the total allowable, or what the state is concerned about going into the groundwater and into the estuaries. So right now, the sewer users are essentially paying more than their fair share for that nitrogen removal.
No, we had a major update to this plant, how long ago?
20 years ago.
And that was paid by the whole town.
2001.
That was paid by that was done as a borrowing for the whole town.
Hmm.
That's my understanding, it wasn't just
Well-
sewer users. Because at that time, there weren't many sewer users.
Right, well, and that's one of the reasons you had Bourne. Because in the beginning, they needed to bring Bourne in in order to get the flow, in order to be able to run a plant.
But the plant did a major renovation,
2001, it's over there in the blue binder.
and I thought we all paid it on our taxes, on sewer or not. Just like we pay for the school.
I don't remember.
Just like we're paying for the school, everybody. Yeah.
It should be, but I don't know that that was the
I
case.
really do.
I really don't, you know.
So I don't even know where that conversation begins. I mean, it begins here, obviously, but where it goes next, if that's a town meeting thing or,
And it's interesting because we as sewer users are really not putting any nitrogen into the river.
very little.
Very, very little, so it's really, the issue is with septic systems in town.
Because if we don't do something, there's what's the alphabet, DMDR? DMDL, what is that alphabet
TMDL.
for the nitrogen?
TMDL.
TMDL, yeah.
Well, we're
Thank you.
already doing something.
I know, but
And as
The
long as
town
we're-
needs to-
As long as we're doing something, we're
That
in
satisfies.
compliance and
Yes.
that satisfies them.
but
As
for,
we go forward, this
Mhm.
is one of the things, the other issue that's got in the wastewater CWMP, that will point out some things also. And then it will be a decision on our end on which ones we will attack, when and where. As long as we stay focused on doing something and are planning on doing something and have done something as we have, we're covered.
When you say attack, you mean promoting something,
Hmm?
you mean promoting it?
Right, and as long as we're on the page and not ignoring it, we're okay.
Yeah,
You know, we can get really nervous and jerky about all the numbers and all these things that happen and everything else. But it's not up to us to solve all the ills of the world out of here.
That's right. But there are two aspects to that that I can think of right off the bat. One is compliance with state regulations and so on. I think that's what you were referring to.
Right.
The other thing is the quality of life for Wareham residents. You know, if there are algal blooms happening, if the ponds are becoming eutrophic or whatever,
But I think that's something to would attack us if that happened, and we're gonna try to stay ahead of
To stay
that,
ahead of it.
obviously.
yeah.
Just like we're talking with the narrowest force main. I'd rather stay ahead of that issue than worry about it after it bursts.
Right.
I don't wanna see the damn thing burst and call the thing.
we're not doing anything to help the ponds. Most of the people who live around ponds are not on sewer.
Right.
The only thing this town has addressed is the people who live along the water leading into Buzzards Bay. So we are not working on anything on our ponds, our freshwater ponds.
Wasn't that state mandated though back then for this, or was they geographically around the,
They focused on the salt water, yes.
so there was no focus on anybody that was on the
No one
pond?
talked about
In the
Shangri-La.
state?
No one talked about Agawam Lake Shore. It was all the salt water in Buzzards Bay.
And it's probably a reasonable thing to look at that one first, but eventually the others have to be
We
considered.
talked about the ponds. Yeah,
The
we're
ponds and,
ruining our ponds.
right. And I've told some people this before, but in October, when we went on our Barbara and I went on our road trip, our first stop was Finger Lakes in upstate New York. And I had always, since a kid, reading the leather stocking tales, you know, the Deer Slayer and the Last of the Mohicans, I always wanted to go there. And we got there and it was absolutely disgusting. Because all the houses around there, all their nitrogen and phosphorus feeds right into those beautiful lakes. You could smell it half a mile away. We don't want that to happen here. We want to stay ahead of that, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
So we have the regulatory things we have to stay ahead of, but we also have to stay ahead of our quality of life for our
Yeah.
residents. That's my sermon for the day.
And
Little extended hours.
I just have an issue with it falling on our shoulders.
Yeah,
That's,
I have a big issue with
It's
it.
really not our purview, and as far as our responsibility goes, we are not contributing
Anything.
hardly anything to the nitrogen levels in the river. We're doing
we
really
being sewer
well.
users.
Yeah, sewer users.
Yes.
But we as a town.
But we as a town are not, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
But we do have a responsibility to notify the
Oh, yeah.
town and public.
And, I mean, the Board of Health, right, is, they're in charge of,
They're doing the Title
Septic.
V septic systems.
so they
yes.
should really be
Yes,
on board with this,
yes.
in the loop. It shouldn't just be us.
But every once in a while, we have something in conservation, someone's getting rid of their cesspool and putting in a Title V, and we're very pleased every time one more house is sold, therefore they have to update their
Mhm.
septic system, and it's,
But still, Title V, it doesn't, unless it has an IA system, it doesn't do anything about the nitrogen.
Yeah.
It just flows. So,
but they're saying that Title V is nitrogen reducing one particular one.
only a small amount.
Well, they're looking at, you know, that birth cake one, different layer, never mind.
Yeah.
The Board of Health are looking at alternatives to do a better reduction in nitrogen.
Yeah, so I would like to set up a field trip maybe to the NACC, I think that's what it's called, the old, you know, Otis Air Force Base has been turned into lots of stuff out there. And they have this experimental place where,
It's at the end.
or Mastech, I think it's called, Mastech. They do experiments, they're experimenting with lots of different new IA systems. So, to deal with
It's been a few
nitrogen.
years since I've been down there. I know what you mean, exactly. They've got different ones that they have to go through the process.
Right, so I'll call Mastech and see if I can set up some kind of a field trip.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just,
And
yeah,
Need chaperones, box lunch, bus.
You need to have someone sign off your travel slip.
what is this, is February, March? I want to do it for the, try to do it for the second Thursday of next month, and we'll do that for the workshop,
I'll see if they can
if
do
that's
that.
possible.
Second Thursday of
March.
March.
I'll give you the date in a second. I'll figure it out.
Okay, so the next steps are to finalize this draft version of the CWMP, figure out financing for all this stuff. I'm guessing there has to be some priority listing first of what
Well, I
to
think
tackle.
we need to get the CWMP and go over it, and
Yeah.
find out what our priorities are going to be.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there are things on there that I'm sure we would like to do that are just gonna be not feasible at this particular point in time.
I was gonna say pie in the sky, but
Yeah,
product in the sky, maybe, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, that I think is gonna be part of our problem, is gonna be to pull it apart and see what we can do and what we can't do.
But they did emphasize continued rehabilitation of the existing collection system, so.
And that's what we're working on right now.
yeah, ongoing.
So that's what we went over. I have a copy of those slides. I think, other than Carrie, I think you all have seen their presentation.
Yes,
And they gave it last,
You're in diversion?
yes.
no, not your diversion.
Was that at the last meeting when you did that?
They presented May 9th, 2024. If that rings a
Right, yeah.
visual bell or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's essentially the same the same presentation they gave to me and to Judy. But I just thought I should update you on that.
Okay. Do you have any further words of wisdom for us on EDUs?
Yes, I have I don't know about wisdom, but I have a PowerPoint presentation.
Beautiful.
So, let me get this thing to work.
Take the lights down,
Yeah.
Karen, inside. Is that on the thermostat switch, Scott?
Next time we can do hot yoga in here.
Well, we might be able to do goat yoga before long.
Oh, all right.
Is that good? We're all the way down?
That's good.
That's good.
It's cozy enough?
We can see town hall, that's good enough.
So, I've been asked to re-examine the whole idea of EDUs. I've been studying it a little bit, and I found, I tried to find online other towns in Massachusetts that use EDU for their billing methods, and the only one I found online was South Hadley, which is interesting because, well, the story, well, I'll tell when I get down to it later.
Where is South Hadley?
Hey,
South of North Hadley,
It's
yeah,
in Massachusetts.
I got that.
out by Amherst,
Thank you.
Mass Amherst.
Yeah, Central Massachusetts.
Central, thank you.
So first, as always, a disclaimer. So the information presented here is based on websites maintained by the Town of South Hadley, Wareham, and Mount Holyoke College. Slides represent my interpretation, observations, recommendations, conclusions did not necessarily reflect those of the other sewer commissioners or the town of Wareham.
Great disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful.
Hey,
reproduction is
I'm impressed.
Express Rich.
Chicken.
Believe me, where I worked before, disclaimers were really important.
I believe it.
Okay, so as an introduction, so we all know in our discussions that the assignment of EDUs for sewer billing may not reflect the actual burden of use for residential, commercial, institutional, or industrial accounts. We talked about some variations. So Sandy has brought up before, for example, that where a garage might have washed their greasy hands many times, now they use gloves and throw that away, so that would reduce the amount of VOD that would go into the system. I'm sure there are many, many other examples. We've also talked about residential places where a one-bedroom would pay the same as a one-bedroom with a grandma would pay the same as a three-bedroom with 15 kids. That may not reflect the actual burden.
It's a shoe.
The shoe, right. The burden on the system. And you know, most of the other towns in Massachusetts use water volume for their billing, and that seems fairer than the way we do it. It seems fair. I'm not sure if there's a perfect system or not. But assignment based on the actual burden to the system, whatever that means, would increase the fairness of the billing method. And the actual burden is defined here as a volume of water usage and in some cases additional wastewater components, for example, VOD, TS, total suspended solids, debris. And debris I'm using here broadly for things like towels and other items that get flushed down,
Rags,
rags.
yes.
Oh, and one of my neighbors is a teacher at the Wareham high school, elementary school, high school. And she was talking about they've had some clog-ups there because the girls are flushing their
Tampons.
feminine I think the
Products.
larger items down into the system, so they've had some real, I don't know if
And
it's
the
got
new
to do-
elementary school has had a problem.
Yeah, on the coast here, we call them beach whistles.
Okay. So anyway, that's debris. And then Bill Cosby in his early days, on one of his comedy albums, he talked about the science of flushing things down the toilet, and he apparently flushed his father's overcoat down the toilet. He gave the method for that. Anyway, that's debris. No billing system will ever be perfect, but adjusting to reflect actual burden would move Wareham toward a more rational billing method for sewer system customers. So here's where answering
Thank you.
your question, Sandy, here's South Hadley. with their town seal and everything. So in their bylaws, they have all these algorithms, which I'll show you in just a minute. That's down here under 315-6.3 under their billing. And it's really interesting to go through their bylaws and see how they have things set up in these other towns. So this is the first part of their billing. Each year, the select board shall select the sewer fee to be charged each property owner that is connected to town sewage. That's similar to Wareham's, except for here it's the sewer commission, not the select board. This is just perfunctory stuff. I just thought I would show it up here. They determine the billing by multiplying the sewer fee by the number of equivalent units of the property and so on. That's just like ours. Now for residential accounts, a number of EDUs for single-family homes is 1. And that used to be how it was done here. Right now there's an adjustment for more than 3 bedrooms.
Right, we established the EDU as a 3-bedroom home,
3 or less, and then
3 or less.
more than that would be, there's some additional,
Is a third
some fraction of a
Right.
EDU, okay. And then multifamily residences determined by the number of apartments in the building. So we just multiplied. Do we do the same here?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Commercial accounts, this gets a little bit more interesting. And the reason is because the number of EDUs for commercial accounts will be determined by the following formula. EDUs equal water usage in cubic feet divided by 10,000. So that tells me right away that they are using water usage to determine their EDUs
For commercial.
for commercial.
That's interesting.
It is interesting because my understanding was that we weren't allowed to use water usage for determining the bills. Now this would be, you'd have to do a rounding, obviously.
Well, we're allowed to change the way we do it. We don't have the data to
Okay.
do it that way. We would need the water department's cubic feet for that time.
And we'll get to that later, but my conversations with both the water departments, I believe we can get that data. Okay.
It's a shift.
Yeah. Yeah, there has definitely been shifting. For commercial, oh, I already did that, okay. And then there's EDUs are whole numbers, so they actually round up. So if they use, let's say 12.25, then they go to 13. Mount Holyoke College, which I think we would put under institutional. And by the way, I looked up our biggest institutional account here.
Toby Hospital.
Toby Hospital, it's 61,000.
Big time.
Yes, but I was thinking it's about 10% of a doctor's salary for the year. So in actual terms, that's not that much money for a hospital. Okay. So they do it by a couple of different ways for Mount Holyoke. I don't know if this applies or not. I don't think we have any residential institutions in Wareham. But they have a couple of different ways of using it. Water usage or number of students using on campus divided by 4. So that's essentially the same. It's a residential unit. Okay. Industrial accounts, this is where it gets really interesting. And you'll see at the, maybe you can or can't see, but they have a whole algorithm set up for industrial accounts. And they take into account water discharged. So I think what they actually mean is not discharge. I don't think they have reduction meters at the end. I think they go by the water that flows in. They take into consideration the number of employees, and they've fixed 25 gallons per day. I guess employees flush 5 times a day on average, or wash their hands or whatever, times 265 days a year, which would assume as the regular work year. And then they do a correction here, 74,810 gallons per cubic feet, and that's a conversion from cubic feet to gallons per 10,000 gallons per year. It took me a while to figure that out, and I cheated. I'll tell you how I cheated in a minute. And they also can take into consideration biological oxygen demand and suspended solids in their equation.
Where did they get that information?
Okay, that's a good question. If the BOD and the TSS are less than 250 parts per million, they just put 250 in there as a constant. So there's a bottom line. Okay, so I tried to put in some numbers here to work out what the cost would be, and what I found was that the algebra doesn't work. Instead of ending up with EDUs as a final unit, I ended up with gallon years per cubic foot, which is not right.
Excuse me?
Yeah. So my algebra's not that bad. But I called a friend of mine, a former colleague, who is a physiologist, but he did modeling for his research. And I asked him to look at this, because this is a model. Something goes up, something else goes up, something goes down, something else goes down. And what he did was, he did way more research into EDUs across the country than I did. And he helped me figure out what some of this stuff was going on. And by the way, I contacted the director in South Hadley for some explanation, and she said, I don't know if some engineer figured this out. So I'm glad I contacted Kim, Dr. Cooper, to help with this. And so he's revised the equations, putting all the correct units in place. So now if you plug in the numbers, you actually get an EDU at the end. The director in South Hadley did send me, I asked her to send me an example. I expected her to send me part of a spreadsheet with the information, with the identifying information scrubbed out. But it turns out they don't even use, don't take offense at this, South Hadley, if you see this in a meeting. They don't even use a spreadsheet. They just scribble the equation at the top, plug in the numbers, and then do the calculation by hand, and then fill that in somehow. So if we did this, I would probably just set up, and I'll probably set up a spreadsheet to do calculations anyway. So if you wanted to do some modeling for our industrial accounts, we could do that. Okay. Now, in contrast, here's Wareham sewer billing bylaw. And maybe this is exactly what we want. It doesn't really say anything except that we set, the commissioners set the fees. You know, South Hadley has all those other components of their bylaws, which is nice in one way, but every time you want to change it, they have to go to the town meeting. This way we can do it, whatever changes need to be made without going to town meeting. Okay, so here are my conclusions. At least one town in Massachusetts faces EDU calculations on water usage. South Hadley has a similar range of user categories as Wareham. EDU calculations may take other factors besides water use into consideration, TSS, BOD, who knows, whatever. And then the South Hadley algorithm constants could be revised for use in Wareham. So you notice that some constants like 0.35 and 0.0016, those set kind of a range and minima for what can be charged as EDUs. And those things could be fatal depending on what needs to be done in Wareham. Okay, so my recommendations, and I have 3 pages of these. So I think we should model new EDU calculations based on the South Hadley model. And to do that, we need to get net water use figures from onset Wareham water departments for at least 2 years. And I think I'm set up, I could do that. So that would be my next step, would be getting those numbers from those 2 water departments. And we need to consider the schools, hospital, and other special cases separately. I'm wondering, does the Mount Holyoke model work for non-residential schools? I don't know. We'd have to think about that. And I recommend that we adapt the South Hadley industrial algorithm for Wareham sewer billing. So we need to consider testing industries for BOD and TSS. Who would pay for that? What would it cost? We can find those things out from probably our engineers. They probably know how to do that. Other factors such as fouling materials, sanitary wipes, diapers, rags, industrial solvents, radioactive materials, recalcitrant compounds should all be considered for EDU adjustments for institutional industrial accounts if there is a sampling protocol. Obviously, if you don't sample, you don't know what's going on. And then, here's my own personal thing. I'd like to revise the residential EDU so that one-bedroom residences are charged less than one EDU. That's a separate thing. We also should assemble a working group to work out the details of using water usage as a basis for EDU calculations. So, someone from the onset and Wareham water districts, maybe the sewer commissioner. Then we need to figure out how to do the TSS and BOD testing. We should set dates for transition to water usage, maybe 1 year in advance, 2 years. I'm not sure what would be practical to do that. We'd have to do some modeling and some public relations things as well. So that would be to assemble a working group for rationale, timescale, rollout dates. We need to write rules and regulations to, they wouldn't go to the bylaws, but would be an addendum to the bylaws. And just as a further observation, obviously any revision of the building system doesn't address some of the present and future crises, nitrogen and phosphorus contaminations, projected increases in outfall volume, additional sewer areas with septic systems. So that's what I took out of my EDU.
Yay! Well done.
Well, thank you. So those are my recommendations. I'm not sure, I guess Jimmy walked out, he wasn't pleased with my presentation. Yeah, I get it. Let's turn the lights back on. Are there any questions about my little
You
research
enjoy this,
project?
don't you?
It's-
You definitely,
No,
it's
it's
right
good.
up his
Good
bailiwick.
job, and I appreciate the information now. And Hadley, what was the relationship between septic and sewer uses? Is it?
In South Hadley?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
And one of the things that they didn't mention, or you didn't mention it, or you didn't mention is that if we look at this and just taking a macro view of this, we need to know what the total, because you could run this formula and the algorithms you're talking about, and come up with enough funds that are coming into the town that may not be what the operating expenses are.
Yeah, that's the beauty of using a spreadsheet.
Well, I understand, so we need to know what does it cost, or what we should be looking at a cost. So if we're only gonna drive the EDU number and the people that use the sewer, right? We have to come up with a number that we can put into these formulas. And they're gonna give us a number, whether it's fair or not in the beginning, gives us a number to figure out what the operating expenses are of the sewer department in the town of Wareham.
So, in rough numbers, Scott, what is the annual operating budget?
Say $8.3 million.
8.3?
Yeah, but I think if we're gonna reset EDUs, you focus on closer to 10 million. And the reason would be to take that annual additional revenue, pay down existing debt, and focus on sewer in the rest of the town with that extra couple $1 million a year.
Yeah. So the simple thing is, you take that $8.5 million, divide it by the number of EDUs, that tells you what each EDU would cost.
Well,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, logic, mathematics,
Yeah.
right? But in relationship to the people that you want to do it on a what do you call it, flow, right? How do we work out that to get to that number that we need? And do we entice the septic people to be involved in that? I.e., how much, do they get a discount because theirs is not going back into the sewer side? They're just going into the septic, but they're using water. So the people that are on the, I'll call it septic system, do they get a 50% discount in the rate? Because they are still using water, but it's also doing issues that we were just talking about a half hour ago.
Or someone who's on sewer has a well.
Correct.
Right. That's a problem that's not addressed here.
Right.
How many of those do you think there are?
Not many. But question, but it is a question.
Right.
Yeah, sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're absolutely right, because I can think of my old neighborhood down in Cremisa where there were many people down there on the well side.
Mhm.
So, is it not feasible that we could go to the water departments and come up with the water flow, i.e. we know from the sewer side, from the water billing, and then figure out, look at what is fair and appropriate for people that are on septic? Because they do contaminate, I use that word, they do some of the things that we need to fund and expense for this mass acronym, whatever it was, because they are contributing to it, but they should actually pay into it. That becomes more of a political issue,
Yes.
right, versus a mathematical issue, because I do believe mathematically we can figure it out,
Well,
right?
I guess
it's
that's
a,
it.
it's
See what I'm
a,
saying?
it's a political issue, but it would probably be a little less of a political issue if we had a good mathematical reason and reasoning behind doing something like this and having a reasonable figure attached to it.
Okay, I understand. So if you're John Q. Public,
Yeah.
and you sit on the side of, hooked in the sewer, how is this town gonna calculate my new sewer bill? That if I'm a septic person, I'll take I want nothing to do with it, I don't have to pay for it.
That's right, I'm not using sewer.
Correct.
So,
How do you?
Well, that's my point.
Right.
I think if we can come up with some kind of a practical solution to septic equals nitrogen is cost to remove it, therefore a septic system should have I hate to say licensing, a licensing fee or a sewer fee or whatever kind of charge you want to say should be X number of dollars. You know, flat line, one number.
it sounds like back in the days where they had like carbon credits for big companies.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, that's.
So interestingly, if you match it up with the CWMP and you decide a certain section is gonna be sewered within 5 years, start building them EDUs every 6 months, give them the same sewer bill. And then at least it gives them a head start on what would be a much larger, what do they call it? When they run the sewer, they're
No.
a benefit. Because that was, I think, back in the 90s was $18,000.
Yeah,
So
22
if
actually
you
for,
determine that you're going to sewer within X amount of time, maybe it's 10 years.
Yeah, fine.
Maybe it's 10 years. So over the course of that, you collected $7,630 from a bunch of homeowners that you're trying to get a sewer line out to. So some of those fees have already come in and put aside for the expansion, and now their betterment fee is maybe the same still as 96, or whatever it was, I forget when the betterments came in, but if you put it like that, like a carbon fee or a nitrogen fee, you start building them to EDUs, because they're still forcing this town to deal with the CDRP.
Well, we know that.
So I think maybe a more palatable way of doing it, especially for us, would be for the town to allocate out of their general budget into something like, into a betterment fee or sewer expansion fee or whatever it is. So then you're not trying to bill people who have a septic system, but you're receiving funds from the general, just like for schools. You know, the schools get money out of the general fund, right? But that's not up for us to decide, right? That would be up for the town council to figure out how they're going to pay for this nitrogen and phosphorus removal that's coming down the road.
Because we're all contributing to that problem.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what system you're on, we all contribute. Can you calculate septic over sewer and how much one's responsible more than the other? I don't know, I'm not
I don't think you bother, I think it's just, the EDU's the EDU, the fee's the fee.
I would hope that between the CWMP and this other thing, that they would be able to give us some form of determination as to what kind of nitrogen is being contributed by Westware or by Shangri-La to wherever, and how does that relate to the whole package, and can that be quantified to come down to something that we'd like to do right now?
Can you,
I don't know.
Can you make a calculation for what it costs to remove, you probably already know this already, how much it would cost to remove so much nitrogen from the effluent? Like, I'm not sure how to,
You wanna do it in pounds, or do you wanna do it in milligrams per liter?
I don't care.
Wow.
Well, the CWMP actually speaks to pounds, not milligrams per liter.
Yeah.
So it's oddly enough a different calculation, but cost-wise, I mean, it's the cost of running this plant.
So $8.5 million to remove the nitrogen from
The
water that we.
And
So-
here's the best, so the audit, the stranger part of our system is, the more gallons we get through this plant, the cheaper the treatment per gallon gets.
Yeah, I can see
Because
that.
the infrastructure's been paid for.
Correct.
So now we're just adding flow, and
The
we're
volume
just,
increases.
we're just adjusting how we treat it.
Yeah.
So can we, is it possible, if we know exactly what the water flow is in every home, I know the sewer side, because that's where it goes, but on the septic side, can we tell what the cost is of that nitrogen and all that you're talking about? Comes out of each gallon of water, or going into the ground, or each 100 gallons, or 10,000 cubic, whatever
I don't
metrics.
think that's the focus you wanna put on it. I think the focus is that it has to come out of the groundwater. It has to stop going to the groundwater.
But-
So the fee includes us getting you to stop putting it in the groundwater.
Right, so some of those numbers might be available, Carrie, in that urine diversion talk that I gave. They might have, someone might have done those calculations already.
But can we force the people to go from septic to sewer?
Yeah.
Is it
Well,
mandated by?
that's easy to say.
That's what
We don't have the enforcement for that.
And we still have people whose sewer goes by their house and they haven't connected.
Right, and that's what it is, like, this one is the last
20
meeting
years
about,
And when it went by the house, the commitment you made was flawed, that you signed with the town to allow you to get out of doing it.
For 5 years.
But we have some people out there that
You
have
gotta-
more than 5 years and haven't
You gotta
connected.
be 20
and
now.
don't we have some people that, well, we have new construction, that, something that, they flat out refuse to hook up? Right? Don't we have people want to?
No, our town says if sewer goes by you, you must hook up.
But we have people that don't actually hook up, do we?
We have people who failed to hook
Well-
up that were, yes, we have a long list. We have a list, what, 49 or something, of people who have not hooked up.
So I guess I'm getting into another subject.
Well, that's another subject.
Publicly, how do we as a town enforce that we want you on septic? How do you do that?
In 1988,
I'm trying to get that answer for a while.
in 1988, the town came to our community, where I live in Onset, and they said, you have to go on sewer because you're contaminating the bay.
Buzzards Bay, right? That's-
They were finding coliform bacteria and so on. And our group decided to, instead of going on sewer, they decided to sue to stop it. And thank God, the judge ruled in favor of the town. So by 1990, we were all on sewer, and now we don't have to worry about it. So,
But the town mandated it because the state mandated it to the
Yes,
town.
the town,
Yes.
the state brought down to the town, and the town had to sewer 5 places.
So product flows downhill.
And the
right?
town only
Yeah.
sewered 4 sites, they did not sewer the 5th site.
Will the state mandate back to us now that if we want to have certain areas of the town hooked up? Can the state mandate to us, mandate to the residents that we want you all in sewer in 5 years?
I would expect so, because what happens, the state has told us, if you were to sewer this one community, this one section, you can put more out. You know, you can discharge more if you take this community and sewer them so that they're not putting nitrogen in. You can have more of an outflow.
And it'd be great if we had $1 billion checking account, but we
Yeah,
don't have anything,
You know?
so,
Well, all you need is $500 million, right?
half a billion, yeah, I mean, so we don't
We've
have
already
that.
made money. We're already ahead.
Yeah.
So the town of Chatham made a decision. They were just, the state was breathing down their neck about this nitrogen problem. They decided to sewer the whole town. No exceptions.
My nephew lives down there,
Yeah.
they talk about all the time, it's gonna, it's done, you gotta do it.
You guys have a plant, it's a beautiful plant.
What's that?
It's a beautiful plant, Joe.
but,
It's- Aesthetics are different for everybody. It's already saying.
yeah, but
Well,
unfortunately,
I think
there's,
the money-
I think that,
even if you were to sewer, the nitrogen is already in the soil, so it will continue to flow into our water even though you're on sewer. It will take a while for it to flush.
Yeah.
So the quicker we can get something area sewered, the quicker we can reduce the flow of nitrogen into our water. But you have to say, I mean, Shangri-La is so far away. We have to find some way of having satellite processing sites to handle those more remote places where the cost of Shangri-La isn't putting in 8 miles of sewer line. I mean, just to,
Is there buildable land between Shangri-La and here? The question is, if we run the line out there, will we facilitate building between here and there, and then it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
look
got
so
200
strange?
acres.
well, you have all those homes that are right off of Glen Charlie.
Yeah.
Go down Glen Charlie
Yeah.
before you even get to some of the first S by the cranberry bog. You've got houses on both sides of you that are not, and they're on tiny, tiny lots. So you're saying, well, I have to put in a Title V, it's underneath my driveway because I had no place else to put it. I mean, so that whole Glen Charlie Road needs to be sewered. So where do you, maybe there is some land out there, right, that could very well be converted to a satellite
What about that section of land that they were gonna build a,
horse track on.
yeah, that's it.
But, yeah,
How many acres is that?
But it is
A lot,
sounding like
a
blazing
lot, a
saddles
lot,
A
now.
couple of hundred.
a lot, yes. And it's mostly already cleared, it's all sand, they've been using it for removal for sand.
Yeah, I mean,
Removal.
from a Title V standpoint, it's perfect land for that, but,
Yeah, but there is,
but I understand what you're saying. I mean, I realize that, I understand that, you know, you could put a satellite plant there potentially.
I would,
I don't know.
And
how
all
far-
I
those
would
homes-
caution groundwater discharge.
oh, yes, because it's only limited.
Not just that, but where there are connections to the pond, the river, still getting onto the ocean,
Mhm.
there are groups out there that will sue you for discharging without a permit, even though you have a groundwater discharge permit, because it's making its way, the conveyance system from the pond to the river to the ocean is there, and they will hit you for not having a net use permit. Only because I saw it 4 times.
Right, so dealing with, that was one of the things that concerned the engineers in the CWMP was treated outfall, dealing with that. And we batted around some ideas. I brought up in Arizona, they use that water for irrigation of golf courses and parks and playgrounds and so on. I mean, it requires a whole new plumbing system, but they've been using that for decades out there. So, you know, and Jimmy and I brought up Jimmy brought up the idea of if there's a satellite plant out in Great Neck, maybe that water is used to water the golf course at Little Harbor, something like that. So, and when flow rates go up in the summer, that's when you need to have the irrigation, so that kind of balances out. But I think, you know, thinking in different ways about this thing is going to be quite useful for us. I have a question, though. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just looking at your slide there in my mind, I know I just went through the Title V in Hanover, and you get 2 people per bedroom at 100 gallons per bedroom per day. And I said to myself, who in God's name uses 100 gallons per bedroom?
It's 55, it's supposed to be 55 gallons per person, 110 gallons a day per bedroom. I don't know where they came from. like Title V still says, I believe, 110 gallons.
Is it 110?
Yeah, it's 55 gallons a day per person, is what they expect, so if it's 2 people per bedroom, that's where you get the 100.
Yeah, every bedroom, yeah, calculates for 2 people.
Yeah.
But just think about that. I don't know. if
It
I
isn't
use-
just flushing and take about your shower, take about your dishes.
Right.
About half the water use is by toilet and half of this is by
It's
everything
gray
else.
water.
Yeah.
Because I know when my mother built her house, we had 2 cesspools, one for gray water and one for toilet. No,
So that, just as a side note, that originally when my house was built there, I had discharge for the wash machine, et cetera,
Mhm.
out the back, and everything else went to the septic system. That was the thing back in the middle 70s, early 80s. That's a rave. Everybody had to do, all the towns had to switch that over. Now, whoa, ran it back in. Well, we're gonna put it into one hole now, i.e. the septic.
yep.
Yeah. And the big issue was phosphate
Yeah.
with the gray water discharge.
And they changed the soap detergent.
You see, some of the marinas now want the boats to be blocked, so they can't discharge spray water. You gotta bring it back to your home port and have it pumped.
You mean you can't just go offshore 3 miles and dump?
I'll tell you, as a boater, I don't do it. Mine is Ziploc, my pump, so nobody can do it. Yeah. A lot of good boats will do that, a lot of good people. There are some people out there, I think a couple in the marina. As soon as they get outside past Cooper's Ledge, oh, I see you guys.
I heard
I should
someone,
talk.
I heard someone define a cruise, luxury cruise, as 5,000 people agreeing to go out and poop into the ocean together.
Are we, well, I have another meeting coming up.
That's very good.
We should be able to hammer this all up at our next meeting, I think.
Do we have things we need to sign off on now?
Yes, we do.
You wanna pass them around?
We're out.
Yeah. 4 items either?
Do you want to adjourn the meeting for you, Sam, or you?
Yeah,
Are we done?
yes, we are, will adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn the workshop at 3:45.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.